My name is Ryan McNeil.
Michael Frieri, and in the wise words of Pat McAfee of last Monday Night Raw, every yeet is a good yeet.
Oh, truer words have never been spoken. Now, Mikey, what have we got going on today on the BT&H podcast?
So, we did it before WrestleMania, and we're going to do it again with SummerSlam. All right? This is our whole, I wouldn't, well, it's not a retrospect, so I guess our SummerSlam introspect.
Oh, yes, indeed. And SummerSlam, I think, is pretty objectively the biggest one right below WrestleMania.
Yes.
It's kind of treated as the halfway point in the season, if you want to call it that, in the year.
And I've seen some arguments recently that this card might be a little better than some WrestleMania cards for WrestleMania 40.
Ooh, I don't know about 40 because 40 was
Just what I've
banging.
been hearing around the bend. I don't agree.
I know
I don't agree.
people say a lot of things.
I don't
People say a
agree.
lot of things.
But
I will say this card is definitely better than some WrestleManias we've had.
yeah,
Certainly,
it's definitely piquing my interest
because the company's in a great place right now. So,
But Ryan, today I want to start off with a prayer. No, I'm just kidding. With a letterbox catch up since it's been so long.
Yes.
You guys might not know this, but all our videos are in the backlog, so it's been a while since we actually recorded a video. So let's just catch up. None of us really have anything too notable, but Ryan, take us away.
Let's see what we got. The most recent movie I watched was Return to Neverland. I rewatched this movie.
Oh.
It was I think, direct-to-DVD or direct-to-video sequel to Peter Pan. When did it come out? 2002. I remember seeing this one as a kid, and I remember just thinking of it like tangentially, like rather equal with Peter Pan. And I will say, I watched it again. I really liked it as a kid. I still really like it. It's nice and short. It's like an hour and 10 minutes long, and it tells a cool story. It doesn't like try to do the same exact thing as the first one, and the first one's a classic. It hits all the notes you expect it to hit. And this movie, it is different enough that it's enjoyable, but it still has the same charm, and it's not like a direct sequel. It takes place far enough in the future. It has to deal with Wendy's daughter going to Neverland, and it's a whole different dynamic between Peter and her as it was than Peter and Wendy. And I like the original Peter Pan a lot, so I always was invested in this movie. And I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a moment near the end of the movie where I remember as a kid, it being very kind of giving me goosebumps almost. And watching it all these years later, I still got those same goosebumps. And for a direct-to-DVD Disney movie, it's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I watched any Peter Pan related content. I think the last one I watched was when I think it's the live action one where Hugh Jackman plays Captain Hook and he sings like the Nirvana song in front of everybody.
Yeah, that one I remember seeing stuff about it. It just seems strange enough that it might actually be kind of good. I don't know though.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I do recommend it for anybody, especially if you're into the Disney stuff and Peter Pan.
Yeah, I'll give it a watch.
What do you got, Mikey?
Let's
go back and forth. Let's go back and
All
forth.
Right,
yeah. Tit for tat.
I don't know if I want to mention this one because I think it'll open up a big can of worms here, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And we've spoke on it briefly, but I watched The Irishman finally. It's been a movie I think I've been mentioning on here that I have not been getting around to, and I think I've said that I have no desire to get around to it.
Yes, I believe at times you have said you have refused to see it.
Yes. I mean, hey, people change.
Things change.
And it was great. It was really great.
Yeah.
The one thing I was very weary about was how De Niro felt in that role, playing this kind of not to compare the two, but the Tony Soprano type tough guy, You kind of get past. It's like watching Planet of the Apes. You get past it, right? You get past it for the first 15 minutes or so, but then there's this one scene, which I think is the one scene that everyone notably points out, where it's very noticeable. But after that, no complaints. So De Niro was, I wouldn't say, I don't know if I'd say he's my strongest. He's definitely not my strongest because that goes to Pacino.
Yes, I agree.
Pacino was, oh my God, he rocked my socks off.
Fantastic.
To think that is the same guy who just announced the Best Picture winner
I know. And that was just a few years ago. He was still like, I don't know, 79, 80 when he made this movie. And brings a lot of energy, a lot of anger, a
Yeah.
lot of fire to it.
That's the thing about
But
being
yeah,
you can even act like you're a little more there than you actually are.
yeah.
So yeah, that was really really amazing. I don't know if I'd ever go back to it, but it was great.
I think
Um,
Pesci's great in it too. Probably doesn't get enough praise because Pesci, like people always think of like how animated he is in his other forms, but
yeah, he.
really good, understated performance, kind of a very measured guy as compared to what
You're
we're
right.
used to seeing him
Very
play.
different role for him, and he was very good. You're right. Go ahead.
All right, my next one, I think I'll say, I don't know if we talked about, but I saw the Iron Claw.
Oh, I saw that last night.
You watched it last night?
Yep.
Oh, okay, so let's be a
That's
little
why I wanted to bring this up because it was so fitting.
perfect. Okay, this is a good segue into SummerSlam then.
Yeah.
So I think the movie's great. I think it's
Me too.
fantastic. I mean, the performances are fantastic, and like honestly, like I wasn't sure just because like I don't like Zac Efron is the guy I still think of him as High School Musical and seen him in some comedy movies.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
great. Ricky Stenicki, he's great. But
yeah.
I see him in this, and I was like, this is like a best actor worthy performance. Like this was an Oscar level performance from him. I thought, and the performances across the board were fantastic. My one gripe with it, I guess, would be that I feel like sometimes the writing for the parents is almost a little too like cartoonishly bad because like it's clear they were really bad parents. Like that's
Yeah.
obvious. But sometimes the writing of it makes them seem like I don't know, maybe like I don't know, it just didn't seem natural sometimes. But overall, like the wrestling stuff was great. It gave a good peek into that world, especially at that time when it was
Yeah.
territorial and kind of strange how things were broken up and the business could be a lot more cutthroat. Um, but no, it's just a fantastic movie. I mean, it's a heartbreaker. I cried at the end of it.
Yeah. I finished it at like 2:30 a.m. and
Mm,
I was balling actually.
yeah, but I mean, that's a testament to how good it is and how it gets the message across. And the fact that the one thing I understand that they changed, like the major thing that they changed from real life to the movie, is that they actually like removed another brother who also passed away. So they made the movie less sad to make it more believable, which
You're
is
talking
just
about the older brother they mentioned?
no, there was another one who was like alive during this time
Oh.
who they cut out of the movie because they didn't also need him to get the point across. But
It
this
almost
Zac Efron's character, also had another brother who passed away like around the same time period, which I mean, that curse thing. Like by the end of the movie, you're sitting there thinking like, damn, they might be cursed.
I'm watching this thing like obviously I wasn't alive during the time, so I have no idea how this truly played out and how like, you know, what dramatic liberties the movie's taking, but I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, there's no way this is happening in like a few years time of each other. Like they're just dropping like fly. Like I after I was done watching it, I wasn't gonna give it a rating actually. I did.
Hmm.
I gave it a 4. It almost felt a little wrong for me to give it a rating. Um,
That's fair.
because it's just how it's presented and the things that it just what it's giving us. But um, but I have one critique. Uh,
Please.
it moved way too fast. Like I think a brother died. Like they died and like I'm telling you, they like dropped like fucking flies and like things were just happening and I don't
That's
know.
fair. That's fair. Yeah.
I get that to kind of not take away or kind of have like this ugly or leave a bad taste in your mouth. They don't over make these deaths like over ceremonious. Um,
Mm.
it's just very like a quick like one liner like David died of whatever. Um, so yeah, I just think the pacing. I think it could have benefited from a little more time with just spacing out some things. Explore a little more into the wrestling. I feel like the wrestling wasn't as explored as I would like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was. I mean, it was A24 movie, so I feel like it probably they were thinking about let's make this a movie for movie people, not as much wrestling people. Even though I think it does all the wrestling stuff very well, but
Yeah,
I mean, there's nothing wrong with having that initiative.
Yeah, it was very cool
Um,
seeing how, like the decisions like the dad made to who's gonna get the push.
yeah, they show all those dynamics
Yeah.
very well.
So that was good stuff.
Yeah, and I think probably, and it's very good how they were able to flesh out all of them because with this many guys, it would have been difficult to make you really care about all of them, understand where each of them was at in their careers and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is understandable when you realize they cut out another one because it would have been hard inserting another brother in there to try to flesh his character out and make you feel the weight of his death too. But like the kid who was the musician, like you really like feel like, oh, you get to realize how he's different than all of them, and then it really kicks when he passes. But I mean, it was just I thought it was fantastic start to finish. One other gripe though, and a lot of wrestling people have brought it up about how it might have the worst Ric Flair impersonation anyone has ever seen.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting I wasn't expecting to see Ric Flair even show up at all. I thought, just them watching the TV from the distance of him fighting Ric
Mm,
Flair, and then
yeah,
Ric Flair just is now it was just odd.
yeah, and yeah, I forget who the guy was. I think they got him because like he like was a wrestler and they wanted him for the in ring stuff and everything, which makes sense and everything. But
Oh, I didn't know that. Very
it,
cool.
his voice was it was just so far off, and like in that one promo in like a minute span, it goes from like it sounds almost southern, like almost like Ric Flair, and then he sounds like he's from the Bronx, and then he sounds like he's from Ireland at the end of the
Yeah.
sentence. Like it's just it's all over the place. But I
Also,
mean, again, these are nitpicks at this point, kind of,
yeah. I
because
mean,
to a non-wrestling fan who's just watching the movie, they're not thinking anything of it.
also, I saw on Letterboxd. I didn't even notice in the movie, but apparently MJF and Chavo Guerrero are making an appearance in this movie.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't notice, but apparently.
Hmm. Um, did you like how I think I texted you this when I first saw it? How Zac Efron looks insane in this movie.
A little too insane, I think.
Just the size of the man.
Yeah. I will say though, he can like boy's got a physique over there. What the hell?
And like the stuff in the ring, he was moving. Like
He,
everything that you could tell was him. He was kind of killing it.
I would like to see some behind the scenes work and stuff.
Mm,
Of just some because I think Jeremy Allen White spoke on like learning the moves and everything.
okay.
Um, but they were killing it.
But yeah, all the wrestling came off as very believable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no gripes really there. I mean, just a fantastic movie.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, we could stop here, but unless you want to keep going, I have a couple more mentionables.
I got nothing else. Throw them at me. Throw them at me.
All
What
right.
else you got?
I watched Anatomy of a Murder. Gave that 4.5.
Is that the Jimmy Stewart one, the
Yeah,
old one?
yeah. That
Yeah,
was
I
great.
I like it. I like it a lot. It's a bit long,
It's very long. Yeah.
but it is very comprehensive, and like it is exactly what the title says. It's cool how they show like every aspect of the crime.
I
Like they break it
think
down so meticulously.
yeah, I think for me when they're in the courtroom, like time is just flying and that's like easily the best stuff and like the
Mm,
best courtroom scenes I've ever watched. But when they're not in the courtroom, it really it drags quite a bit. And I kind of don't care.
that's
Uh,
fair.
but all the roles were played fantastically.
Yeah,
Uh, and it was yeah, it's just a super cool story. And like yeah, you like understand everything that's going on, why a seasoned lawyer are making these plays on the fly. Um, yeah, I love
I
that.
remember the music being great too.
Oh yeah, it like and like the opening scene, it kind of like almost like starts off as like I don't even know how what I would coin the term as, but like those like old timey like I don't know, almost like a Looney Tunes thing, like the music.
Mm.
But it was really cool. I really
I
liked
like
it.
those old movies that have like the very almost I don't want to say drawn out, but like very long and like kind of very well put together like opening credit
Yeah,
sequences.
yeah. I guess that's what it was. And there because there was like kind of animation stuff with like that logo of like that body being put together and
Mm.
whatever. It was cool.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
great movie.
yeah. Then I watched Monkey Man.
I've heard
That
this is
was
quite good.
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I mean, because 2024 movies I've really just been behind.
Mm.
So, although there are a lot of cool stuff, there's a lot of cool movies coming out that I want to see. So maybe I'll get on that horse.
Get on the horse, Mikey. Giddy up.
Yahoo! Now there ain't nothing left to do but to do it.
Oh, let's do it, baby. It's
Time
time
to
to
get
play the
in
game.
to SummerSlam.
We
And
are in a new era.
what is the name of that era, Ryan?
The Paul Levesque era.
Such distinction.
Such the distinction.
What is that in?
Folks at home. If you haven't noticed, whenever Cody Rhodes wants to use a big word, or he doesn't know what word to use, he uses the word distinction, whether it's applicable or not. He just throws it in there.
It takes him about two full seconds to get through the word. Distinction. Anyway, I set it up where I think this is how the card is gonna go out chronologically. Just
Okay.
by what WWE posted. Although I don't think
This seems about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kicking it off. We got a Sammy versus Braun Breaker rematch for the IC title. Braun is, I think, quite obviously going to win this since Money in the Bank.
Yeah, it seems like they're pushing him quite a bit to the point where it seems like as if Sammy beats him again, it's kind of burying Braun to the point it's going to take a while for him to work him back up, and they clearly want to push this guy, which I'm not crazy about, but I'll live with it.
Yeah, me neither. But I mean, I think Sammy's time as the IC champion for this reign has come to an end. I think he's.
I agree.
Done what he
I don't
needed
need
to do.
him. Yeah, I don't need him to have it. I mean, I didn't even need him to win it at WrestleMania, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But for him to drop it, I'm like, fine, cool. And I guess it allows you to do more things with Braun. So now Braun can fight. I mean, just about anybody can go after the IC now. If Braun has it, you can do it from, guys who just came in to, if you want, like Jimmy Uso to make a run at it or something like that. Something out of left field. Just a guy who's not doing anything wants to get after it. Then there's a gateway for that to happen now.
Yeah, I think, if they really want to, I'll get to Jay's future later on, but if Jay wants to make a solo run for a title, I don't think heavyweight is in the cards right now for him, so IC can.
Nah, it just ain't. I got a lot of Jey Uso thoughts.
Really, you don't. I find you don't like him as much as I do.
Okay, so I like Jey Uso. I think one thing is I don't know what the shelf life of the Yeet stuff is gonna last. Like,
yeah.
Like, is it gonna be a year and a half from now, and we're still gonna be doing Yeet everything, and like, cause he did that promo where he was like, I'm gonna snatch that briefcase. My bad. Yeet. I'm gonna snatch that Yeet case. Like, it's stuff like that. I'm like, yo, like he's so over right now. Like, I don't even care about it. Yeah. But like, I feel like we might reach a point where like it's just a little cheesy, and also just in the ring, really good in the ring. He doesn't have like a real great finisher. He needs a new finisher.
Yeah, his spear is really weak.
There's an avenue for him to win the World Heavyweight of the WWE. There is, if the storyline provides for it.
I agree.
I don't know if it's anytime soon. Like, some people want him to win the briefcase and cash in for World Heavyweight. I don't know if he was there yet. I think they need a little more workshop and a little more storyline stuff for it to happen, not just him to win it because, he's so great.
Yeah, he has no skin in the game storyline wise at all. He's just a character. He's just a guy that everyone loves to just yeet, and why not? Why not? But anyway.
Yeah, why not yeet? Yes, continue. Back to Sammy and Braun.
Now, this whole conversation of Sammy and Braun always included another fellow, Ilya Dragunov, another guy pulled up from NXT. I don't watch NXT at all. I'm not really interested.
Yeah, I don't.
From what I heard, people say he's like one of the best working wrestlers right now. And so far I've liked what I've seen. Maybe wear some knee pads, bro. You look a little weird. At least I don't need to see those legs. Anyway, he does a really good job. people are questioning why this isn't a triple threat match. And
I
why
think
did
it's a
they have
very
a
good
number one
point.
contender match on that last Raw? Because he was always in this conversation. I guess because that he'll be the main feud for when Braun is holding after this fight. Like I said, because it's quite obvious that Braun's taking this home.
Yeah, that's a good way to push both these guys, though.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, and also apparently people want to see if him and Gunther can have a run together because I think they feuded in NXT from what I heard. But they got to do something different here because this looks just like another Money in the Bank.
Yeah, they should have thrown somebody in there,
Triple
and like
threat
I
would
mean,
have
it
been
doesn't.
easy.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like somebody you expect to win, just for the sake of the match, a little more interest in it instead of, oh, I'm going to get the same match as I did at Money in the Bank, but Braun's going to win. Just throw Finn Balor in this match or just something random.
Yeah, on the show notes. Where's Chad, man? You really just gonna
A
give
really good
Chad to
point.
the Wyatt Six?
Yeah,
He is like a top choice for the IC title. I love Chad.
he's killing it right now, honestly. Just on the mic, his character, he's getting so much heat. And like the stuff, I think he's a good target for the Wyatt Six because it's a good way to it's a good level for each of them. Like it's not like because if the Wyatt Six came out and they were going after like a big dog right away, I thought it would be too much too soon. But I like how they're doing that with Gable. But like the fact that the Chad Gable Sammy stuff just kind of ended, and this is a cool way to like keep Chad intertwined and everything. If he starts something with Braun and like, I mean, if he was just involved with this match, it'd be so much more
Yeah,
interesting.
I think, and I think it'll be very plausible and believable if Chad was the one to beat Braun because Chad is a Olympian wrestler.
Mm.
So, and he's always shown some great in-ring skills. So I
Mm.
want to see Gable come back to the IC. He's been doing his best work, and he basically got demoted to the Wyatt Six.
Yeah, that's a very good
So
point.
where is Chad? Now, when Sammy ultimately loses, and he is one of the most over guys.
Yeah, never not been over.
He is probably one of my top one, top two on the roster. So I'll defend the Sammy Hogan complaints. But where does he go after this? Last Raw, we saw a little Jay Sammy action. Like I said, I was going to get back to Jay. And they beat the tag team champions. It wasn't championships was completely or conveniently not up for grabs.
Mm.
But this could be a great route. They have the history. And like I said, Jay's got nothing right. They've been so scared to put Jay into another tag team because he has so much heat solo right now, but
They're not
he's
doing
got
anything with him
nothing.
solo.
Yeah, he's got no material solo. So just give him the tag belts, and they'd be much more interesting than. I mean, I love Finn, but Finn and JD. I mean, like these tag titles need to be in discussion.
Yeah, the tag team titles in general need some bolstering. That
Yeah.
division just needs help across the board, and this is a good way to do it. And I mean, I think about Cody Rhodes after last WrestleMania. Him and Jay had the tag belts. It's just a way to sometimes bide your time before you go on to a big belt. It's still, hey, you're someone holding a belt. You're involved in champ matches, and that's what Cody was. So it wasn't just, oh, he's not out there losing matches or just winning for nothing. He had the tag belt, so it meant something. That's an easy way to do this with Jay and Sammy. So
Yeah.
it keeps them both relevant and busy, and it keeps them gold on their shoulder. And I mean, it's also the tag belts. Like, I like the long reigns that Triple H has had, that he's allowed for since he's taken over. But the tag belts, you can have them traded off every couple months.
Yeah.
And especially to like get
Until it falls in the hands of the rightful owners, the awesome truth.
the awesome truth. Yes, at that point they hold it for until our truth retires in 2062. But
Yeah.
I mean, I really that just makes sense to me as Sammy J tag team. That's a good way to keep them both busy
Yeah.
because I don't need Sammy to be holding the IC right now. I don't need Jay to be going after the world heavyweight. but give them both some gold. I like them both. They'll
Yeah.
have some fun as a tag team. They can be goofy as a tag team too. They don't need to be all austere and like a stoic. So
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. Take some time off and, well, I mean, not take time off, but, like you said, bide your time.
Mm.
With the right roster, right pieces, right puzzle pieces, I could see even Sammy being in the world heavyweight conversation. I mean, he's damn over.
Yeah.
And I love his skill and his in-ring ability, but
Mm.
that's where I play out this match and what falls out from it. Now, one that is not as, it doesn't have that much conversation revolving around it. That's the U.S. title match, Logan Paul, LA Knight. I think we all know LA Knight needs to win this.
Please, please, God, let him win it.
I hope to say he's gonna win this, no doubt,
Yeah.
but I'm not so sure.
And one of the reasons there's not a lot of conversation about it is because the storyline has developed so slowly because Logan Paul is barely on TV. So
True.
it makes it a lot easier, hopefully,
Same with
for
LA Knight
everybody.
though. LA Knight does not show up that often.
Maybe part of it is because he's involved with Logan. So
Yeah.
he does like he's just going to show up and feud with nobody. He's got nobody to feud with because he's dealing with Logan. But that's fair. That's fair though. But no, I hope Knight wins it so he can be back on the workhorse. He's there all the time, and Logan has other shit going on. So like Logan's good in the ring. This is going to be a good match. I don't have any doubts about it. But when you're holding a belt, you got to be present, and he's just not as present as you need to be. So
For sure.
I've been saying LA Knight needs to win a belt for 6-7 months now. So, and I said any belt, so I'm happy with the U.S. I don't care if it's the WWE or the World Heavyweight, which I hope it is someday. But U.S., I'm chilling.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's no other option here. Once he wins, who do you see as a potential first feud for my boy?
Axiom?
Oh,
No.
Axiom.
The U.S. belt. That's a good question. If they really wanted to try to bolster maybe JD McDonough's solo stock or something like that, or one of the Tongans, maybe they try to
Oh,
into something like
I
that.
think a Tongan
I
could be
mean,
interesting.
yeah. So I mean,
Tama, please, not Tonga.
not Tong.
Tongaloa.
So I mean, well, actually, there is one correct answer here,
Oh,
and that is a gentleman who said if they have anything for him creatively, he would lace up his boots again, and that's
you got
bad
some
news.
bad
Wade Barrett.
news for me, do
Yes.
ya? I like that. That would be so cool.
100%. So I mean, LA Knight, I don't care who it is because anybody they put across from him, he develops chemistry with. He knows how to work with them, and just even if it's somebody like who isn't like giving it back to him, he knows how to roast him and keep the energy up. He has that ability. So I'm not worried about what will happen to the belt if and when Knight wins it.
Yeah, and I know him and Santos Escobar has always kind of been going back and forth. Whatever, but
Yeah, that's been a weird
that'll probably
little thing.
be one of the top choices at first. All
Yeah,
right,
which is fine.
short conversation for that one, and probably even a more short conversation for this one, just by the nature of how WWE has been working it. That is Bayley and Nia Jax for the Women's WWE Undisputed Championship.
Yeah, I mean, just
Can we talk about an
compared.
even less worked storyline? Like,
Very true.
is that even
And I mean,
possible?
compared to the other the one other women's match on this on the card, which is phenomenal and has so much going on, this one really, really pales in comparison. Even though it's still a belt match, and I mean, people like Bayley. Nia Jax has
I
a
love
fan
Bayley, yeah.
base, but I mean, it's just like you said, it's not worked enough for people to really get excited or even have any inkling as to if it is going to be a title changing match at all. So it's hard to have any like interest honestly at the moment with it.
Yeah, so like I really don't care who wins. Whatever
Yeah.
will get Tiffy the title. Whatever choice is right for that, that's the one I'll go for.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know who Tiffy will cash in on. because the nature of how they handled the men's Money in the Bank, which nobody liked,
Yeah.
but because the nature of the way they handled that, I feel like Tiffy will probably hold on to her briefcase for
Yeah,
like
for sure.
300 days or something, which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
So I don't know who she could possibly cash in on because I don't know who will be champ
Yeah, a lot can
in 7 8
change. A lot
months,
can
yeah, or
change.
10 months rather. Um, but no, yeah, at some point Tiffy will cash in and win. I don't see an avenue where she loses, honestly, because she's so over right now.
I could
But
see it being Nia Jax winning, and because her and Nia Jax have kind of a alliance, and a Nia Jax will eventually lose it before the next Money in the Bank, and Tiffy will use that opportunity to bring it back into home, into loving arms.
loving arms.
So yeah. Next up, like we said, a women's match, which with much more heat, and that is the Liv v. Honestly, one of my most. Let me look at the card here because I think it is my most hyped match.
It's my most hype. I'm not even gonna front.
That's Liv v. Rhea for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. Um, I mean, I love it. What they've been doing is amazing. Um,
mm.
but where's the custody match, Ryan?
I I wanted a custody match. I'll be honest. I wanted them to frame it like that. I thought that would have been hilarious. I'm still happy with the way they're doing this. Like you said, this stuff has been phenomenal. The last, I don't know what it's been, 3 months, maybe something like that, since Liv Kiss Dom. Just phenomenal content across the board. Every Judgment Day segment is must see TV. They're all hilarious. And since Rhea's return, the dynamics with everything have been just great. And I think there's a few different ways this could go because a lot of people have said like, oh, this might be Dom's already a heel basically, but what if he turns like super heel and he costs Rhea the match and helps Liv? Like he could secretly still be working with Liv, that kind of thing.
I think Dom ultimately will play a role in this match. I mean,
100%.
we still
Yeah,
have I think at least one other Raw to kind of turn the tides of this, but yeah, I'm excited to see how Dom shows up and what he does, and I do think Liv is going to be the one who retains.
I agree. Yeah, and I think she should. I don't think it's time for Rhea. Doesn't
No,
need the belt back yet at all,
certainly not.
especially after she held it forever. And Liv's doing phenomenal work.
Yeah, but I don't think it's believable right now for Liv to win cleanly against Rhea, which is why I think Dom
Fair,
will most
very
likely
fair.
play a role.
Yes, I'm fine with that.
I, I love the storyline stuff, but I haven't taken much notice into how Liv actually wrestles.
She's good.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, don't
I don't
hesitate.
remember. She's only been in like a few matches since this whole thing. It's really just been storyline after storyline. So
I will say the one thought I did have was that, like, when Rhea comes back, like Liv would do something where, and I mean, this I think still could happen, where Dom does something to like help Liv out, and Dom is like sides with Liv, and then Liv like turns on him, and like it's a reveal that like she was working with Rhea the whole time to like test his faith. Which that would be cool if it's like, oh, Dom has these two options, but it turns out, oh no, he ends up with neither because he's that much of a moron or a fucking moron, as Michael Cole said one time on TV.
Now we see that really only Damian Priest has remained loyal to Rhea within the Judgment Day.
That's fair because even Finn Balor was like kind of
Yeah.
throwing some arrows at Damian Priest and saying, hey, since Liv started getting involved, things have been looking pretty good
Finn
around here.
still took the hotel key, so still some gaps in our knowledge. But
and they're always playing 2K.
Yeah, they are. I don't blame them, but
yeah, not at all.
I wonder if Liv is the reason that Judgment Day breaks up, which could be interesting considering how things are going right now.
I gotta say, right now, I don't think it's time. I think they're great together, and because I mean, McDonough and Finn without the group, I don't know how strong that tag team is. This is keeping Carlito occupied. It lets him do something.
I think the time is nigh, though, Ryan.
Yeah,
It's coming. It's coming.
I'll say I'd rather it be too soon than too late. So if it happens within the next 2 months, fine. Judgment Day
Yeah, you
breaks
don't
up.
want to play it out like the Otis turn.
Yes, that which they didn't even get right when it finally happened. But Damian Priest has proven himself to be good enough on his own too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we'll be talking about it with this match, how it's independent of Judgment Day practically entirely, and it's fantastic work with Gunther. So
right. All right. Like I said, I would like to see next Raw add some more stakes to this than just another 1v1 match. This goes for all the matches besides Punk Drew, because you have that
yeah,
special guest ref. Are we all just gonna have these one like just run of the mill 1v1 matches? Can we throw in maybe like a ladder match or an Extreme Rules, whatever?
yeah, that's a good point, especially for SummerSlam. You got to spice something up somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, somebody brought up they won't be doing it now, obviously because it's too late in the game, but and especially because they announced the thing with the special guest referee in the other match. But somebody suggested at one point that Dom should be the ref for the Rio versus Liv match to see if does he call it clean, does he
That would be
intervene
cool.
at any point. Like we know he's going to be sitting ringside, but I mean that'd be cool if they made him be the ref for it though.
Wait. What if wasn't the original custody match a ladder match?
Yes, I think you had to like they went to get a briefcase for like
Okay.
his rights.
Stay with me.
Oh boy.
Remember that Royal Rumble we watched
Oh,
the other day with Chris Jericho in the cell up there?
yes, which I don't remember at all what the purpose of it was, why Chris Jericho was in a cage above the ring, but I like where you're going.
Put Dom in that cage, and them's
But
women's got to fight.
that them women's got to fight. You got to set up a ladder and unlock the cage and let Dom out.
Yep, yep. That's what I
I
want to
like the
see.
way you're thinking.
But super excited for this one.
This Loki should be a cage match, though.
Yeah, I think they gotta. If there's one match to spice up, it should be this.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that.
So a cage match. I don't know. That's the one that cage match makes the most sense for another match type, but
Hmm.
maybe a Punjabi prison match.
Oh, it was like climbing around bamboo or something, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Next up, we got the only championship match, or the only non-championship match, and that is Drew v Punk with a
I'm very
special
excited.
guest referee, Seth freaking Rollins. How was that?
It was fantastic. This feud has been fantastic. The only miscue that's really happened, I think, is I mean, there was enough heat there already. They didn't need to throw the briefcase in there and Punk costing Drew again to this, which people have talked about. It's pretty obvious that it kind of selfishly helped this feud out again tremendously, but it was just unnecessary. But I mean, Punk has been having so much fun these last like 6 months or whatever it is, just not wrestling, just
Yeah.
costing Drew matches left and right in his home country for belts, whatever it may be. And Seth being the ref is just going to make things so much more fun. And like Seth's back and he's cleared or whatever, but like this is a good way to ease him in because
Oh, for
he's an
sure.
old man. He's a workhorse. Like I don't need him go right back into a
Yeah, you
match
just
with
got
bad
back,
knees.
brother. He's not
Yeah,
really in any storyline. He just kind of got a little bit of skin in this one, so just give him the special guest rep. Um,
but it makes a lot of sense because like Drew beat Seth for the belt. The Punk Seth was like a feud that I think they were going to be doing at Mania.
yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense that like Seth's there because he has heat with each of them. Neither of them like Seth, so it's another thing where it's like he's not really going to call it one way or the other. We don't think, at least, unless they get creative with it. But I mean, you'd have three top workers here involved in this match, three great personalities. I mean, we're going to see Punk wrestle his first. This is his first singles match since he's returned to WWE.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing he's been in is the Rumble, and he did a house show actually, I think, but that doesn't count.
So, if it doesn't end in a no contest in some way, with Seth being the ref, is Drew the obvious win here? Because, this whole storyline has been Drew just suffering loss after loss after loss,
Mm.
and this is just Punk's first match back. I think he has to go on his back for this one, just it being the nature of his first match. Uh, do you? What do you think? I guess I'm what I'm asking you.
I mean, I feel like I don't know because I do feel like it makes sense for some way to end it so they go their separate ways because I think Punk will be the WWE champion within the year and a half, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. And I think Drew wants to get the world heavyweight back. Or the WWE back, either belt. So I don't know how exactly to end it, but I do hope Seth intervenes to a point where we do launch ourselves into a Seth Drew feud out of this. That this is the end of the Drew Punk feud, which has been great, but I don't need it to continue past this. Even though I think it's going to be a great match, and I mean Punk at his age, I mean he wrestled in one Rumble and tore his tricep. I don't need him to be racking up matches every Monday night. So, um, you know, I'm happy with any way they go with it. If it continues, it's great stuff. But I'm just kind of I personally think it's reached its point, its natural conclusion of Punk screwing Drew out of stuff. It's like, oh, now he actually has to wrestle, and I mean it makes Drew look really bad if Punk costs him, and then Punk just beats him in a one-on-one match cleanly.
If they go their separate ways, which I'm not quite sure about, I think they somehow Seth costs Punk the match, and then you just blossom out of that. Luckily, both guys are on Raw, and the World Heavyweight is up for grabs. Obviously, the draft can change stuff, but in the near future, because when you have Cody Rhodes standing in the way of anyone else getting WWE Championship, you gotta make a lot of sense to take the belt off of him. Luckily, the World Heavyweight Championship, it's more fluid. So I think Seth Punk can, really, spiral out of this. And then, so that would mean Drew would win and probably rocking him up in the contenders match. Although, do we really need to see Drew get the belt again so soon?
Yeah, I don't need it to happen so soon. I'm honestly fine if they wait for him to get a belt until we go back to Clash of the Castle next year. Just have him win it in his home country for a proper title reign, and then that's the end of this. Drew can't have a proper title reign stuff, So I think that'd be a good way to just have him kind of get over the hump because it's crazy. He's been the champ twice technically, but he still is the underdog, the little engine that keeps getting screwed out of it.
Yeah. Speaking of the World Heavyweight Championship, we got Damian Priest and Gunther.
Two big men.
If you guys remember a retrospective WrestleMania, I don't think we were too crazy about the Priest cash-in.
We weren't.
And I can say personally, I mean, he's won me over. I don't want this guy to lose it.
100%. And you were a guy who, especially at our Mania episode, was also, say with me, singing Gunther's praises. We love Gunther. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, what Priest has done, his promo work, his in-ring stuff, just everything with the Judgment Day, he's been a great champion for the World Heavyweight. It feels right. And, I mean, Gunther, it makes sense for him to have a belt. It does. He's a great, great wrestler, and his character and everything. If he wins it from Priest at, I don't know, the Rumble, Elimination Chamber, next to Mania or something, it would make sense. Right now, though, Priest is doing so good, though.
He really is.
He's got to keep it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he, clearly won the crowd over since him and Gunther's, I think, promo before the last one. Where Gunther
great heel promo.
I almost think it was a little unintentional with how badly the crowd received it, because he was almost getting booed out of the stadium last Raw.
Oh, yeah.
It was intense, where, I mean, rightfully so, the things said, and just knowing Damian Priest's past, it was digging deep right there.
Mm.
And which is why I think we both text each other like we don't want Priest to drop at all.
No, he's got to keep it.
And I've kind of just been a little lukewarm on Gunther ever since the Randy King of the Ring fight. So
Yeah, I wasn't able to see that one, but both you and Luke said it was just a garbage match somehow.
yeah, but if Gunther wins, I can see it. I'm not opposed to it, but I don't
I'd
think
say I'm opposed to it, honestly.
you're opposed to it.
I'm opposed to Gunther winning. I mean, like I said, at some point, he gets the world heavyweight. Sure, awesome. And both of us said when he had the IC that it makes sense for him to elevate after this. He's earned that right to go after one of the top two belts. But right here and right now, this heel version of Gunther is fantastic. But Priest right now he's just doing great work. And I think I texted you this also, how I love how, and if this feels this feels like it didn't happen as much in the Vince era, where Priest, is he a heel or a face? He's neither, really. Like the Judgment Day are kind of a heel group, but Damian Priest gets a great reaction. He has a great fan base. And there was that backstage segment where Jey Uso walks up and he asks Rhea Ripley a single,
Yeah.
and they do a way pie and a eat, where before it would be like, oh no, he's a heel. He's supposed to back off. He's not supposed to have that kind of interaction with a face. But he's just operating in this great gray area. And it's the same with Drew and Punk. It's like both of them do heel things, both of them do face things. Like this is when wrestling's at its best, when they're working in the gray areas here.
Yeah. Looking at this card, other than like Sammy and Cody, there is no clear baby face. Maybe,
Yeah.
I guess Bailey, but
maybe Bailey, LA Knight.
Yeah, but I mean, I think
again, and he's not over like them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like I've texted you before, like you're just letting undeniable talent go to work and just have the fans decide who's doing stuff, who's doing good things, who's doing bad things.
Yeah, and that's my favorite thing about the Liv Rhea Dom dynamic is, like, all three of them are like doing different things, reacting different ways. Everybody wants them to do different stuff because it's all gray areas. There's no like clear good, bad, or the other kind of stuff going on. So and that's what's making these matches so much more interesting than what we were dealing with 5-6 years ago.
And it's kind of like you look at a match like I don't know, Seth or Punk Drew, where you basically just take your pick who you like more, who are you rooting for? Like there's no clear like, oh, John Cena's got to beat I don't know, The Miz. But like the fact that the fans can truly decide and make arguments for either person winning, I mean, I think that's the best way to operate in this form of storylines.
Yeah, and I mean, I think about what was it, WrestleMania 18, I think, is the biggest example I can think of, where it was Rock Hogan, and the crowd is rooting for both of them. Like, people are just there for wrestling. Everybody's a fan of both of them, and you can tell some people like want Hogan, some people want Rock to win, and I bet it was the same if you go back to Undertaker HBK matches and Triple H Undertaker matches. And the best compliment is when I think of a wrestling match is when you're not rooting for either one to win. You're just rooting for the match to go on as long as possible. And that's what we're looking at with a few of these matches here.
Yeah.
I will say, though, the last match on the card, I do not want to last as long as possible.
Why not get into it right now? Cody v. Sordo for the WWE Undisputed Championship.
American Dream.
I got a lot of thoughts about this one.
Go. I want to hear.
They're doing really good work with Solo as a heel and buffing him up to be a worthy opponent, not just because he's the last man standing in the bloodline. They're trying to make him, make sense to take on Cody. I don't think we're there just yet. I think maybe, you know, Bloodline should have had at least like tag gold, to give them some heat, even if it's not Solo.
Hmm.
So like, because they're a threat like they'll come out and beat you up every now and then, but they're not a threat to like for like championships, and the gold just gives more credibility. Like without it, they're just some other run of the mill.
Yeah.
Especially because this new bloodline hasn't had any gold. Um, so I don't think Solo is quite there, but now I don't think Solo's. There's no chance in hell Solo wins this.
Yeah. There'll be
It's
riots if he does.
almost necessary if you really want to build Solo up to be this next big bad. He has to win this. He has to win this title, because then it's just, what is he gonna come crying back to Cody Rhodes for another rematch? No.
I think the worry is though is if he wins, he can't win cleanly. And at that point, we're just doing the old what we saw with Roman Reigns for the last 4 years. Like, oh, he won, but it wasn't clean.
Yeah.
Which do we want to go down that road again?
He has to win this, but it does not make sense at all for him to win. That's the
Yeah,
problem with
which is
Solo.
fair because if he does lose, which is almost more than likely to happen, like how does that make Solo look?
Yeah.
That's why we need, as the second note says, we need a little interjection into the storyline to take us to the next level.
Especially when, like you just said, when Roman Reigns is the favored next feud to come and stop Solo.
Which I think he's going to return at SummerSlam.
I agree. But it's Roman. We're talking Roman Reigns. And if you're going toe to toe Roman Reigns, well, you got to be the right guy. And if Solo doesn't really have belts, he's kind of just like a self-proclaimed tribal chief. He is not a worthy opponent in my eyes to Roman Reigns at this time.
No, but the storyline with the family is enough for me, in my
Okay,
opinion.
it's enough for
I
you.
yes, and especially because I view it as Roman and Solo fight. Roman comes back at SummerSlam, um, after Solo loses or something, or during the match. Hell, I don't even know. And then they fight for a bit, maybe at a pay-per-view or two. And then at the Rumble or something like that, that's when I think we see The Rock show up.
Okay.
And then that's how we set up Rock versus Roman.
Okay, so you think Solo's really
And
just a transition into Rock Roman?
yes, but I also think we have enough Tongans now where,
And another one coming.
and even more of them coming, yes, where I think we're at a point where a lot of people throw this out, which is a cool way to kind of bring Roman back into things. Roman shows up and he tries to patchwork back his old bloodline, and he gets Jimmy and Jay back together, and they take on this new form of the bloodline, and they fight for that necklace. They fight for the title of tribal chief, and obviously Roman would win. And it's a match like that. It's like, oh, Roman earns back his right to be tribal chief, undisputed tribal chief, and then The Rock shows up. So,
Yeah.
Solo has been a great piece at this, like you said, and how they beefed him up. Because we after WrestleMania, we were like, Solo's just unemployed now. What the hell is Solo going to do? All he does is interfere in matches. We saw him wrestle in one match, and he sucked. And I will say, I saw him, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. He still wasn't that good in the ring. So but what they've done with his character and all the Paul Heyman stuff, like they built him up as a very, very good heel. So I do think there's enough avenues there with the storyline that Solo can lose this match to Cody, and we could still launch ourselves into more stuff with all the Samoans that are available to do we could do a freaking 4v4 with the amount of Samoans I think available on this roster.
To be quite honest, though,
Yeah,
with this current Bloodline 2.0, you can have Roman Reigns 1v4 these guys, and I wouldn't complain. It's totally
neither
believable.
would I.
These guys are
Yeah,
all, other than kind of Solo, these guys are all schmucks to me. Like,
yeah, that's
and
fair.
God,
And
the
it's
Jacob Fatu hype It needs to
I hate
stop.
it.
It needs to
I
stop.
hate it so much. And they're like, Jacob Fatu was a problem. It's like, this dude does nothing. He just emotes that face. And like, yes.
I'm like, dude,
there's your
this guy's
there's your,
catching flies, man.
there's your thumbnail right there.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree though. Like all the Jacob Fatu stuff, it's like this dude's he's just another wrestler. He's just another one of the Tongans. Like he's a little bigger and he's throwing guys around. Yeah, it's not enough. He doesn't speak except when he screamed, "Solo, I love you." Like no, like there's like I said, the new Bloodline stuff. It's been much better than it should be. It's worked much better than I ever expected it to be, and I'm happy the way they've gone. But it's working as a transitional piece, in my opinion. If they try to make it anything more than that, if they like, are trying to convince me that Solo is actually going to have any kind of a title reign, no, 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 no.
Yeah, that's why he's in a tricky spot. Like I said, Solo. If you want to do it this way, if you want to beef him up, really beef him up, and make him that believable, he has to win the title. But it in no way does it make sense in any possible angle.
I will say, I feel like going back to our WrestleMania review, I believe we previewed how we thought things were going to be booked.
Oh.
Further out, which or this could have been a conversation off the record as well. But I believe one of them was because at the Raw after Mania, Rock came out and he told Cody, he was like, "Your story is finished, but our story is not finished." And I believe one of our thoughts was like, "Oh, Rock Cody at SummerSlam. That's when Roman returns and sets up Rock Roman," which I mean is obviously not happening. We're not going to see The Rock for a while, but I do think we probably got it right where Roman is going to come back to set up his next feud.
Right.
And also the glorious return of Paul Heyman, which is this is the real thing we're excited for here.
Do you think Roman kind of teams up with Cody in a way, or are they indifferent? Is there still
I think it might
bad blood?
Yeah, I bet it. I mean, hell, I don't mind. Nah, they can't do that though. I was gonna say because there's enough beef 3 ways to do a triple threat, but you can't do Roman Cody and then Solo just kind of there. But no, I think they kind of start out indifferent. I don't think they should ever wrestle each other again, honestly. Which kind of sounds crazy after they had one of the greatest moments in wrestling at WrestleMania 40. But I think they should kind of keep that kind of moment pure, I guess you could say. But I mean, there's different ways there's different avenues. You never say never, but everyone's just hoping Roman comes back at this moment though, because it just, it's like when Seth came back earlier than anybody expected. It's like for creative, it's just a kid in a candy store. The possibilities are endless at this point as to how you want to take things in different directions.
Now, WWE, we gotta watch out, right? Say Roman doesn't come back in SummerSlam, all these people are gonna be disappointed. Since WrestleMania 40, WWE has kind of headed into this MCU cameo territory for me in some ways, where it's kind of just like these returns or these big moments is really just to like hype up the viewer and get them watching, but they're so desensitized to just a normal, really well put on match. So I think we need to just, obviously WWE returns, huge part of the business, and it's great, fuels some of the greatest moments of all time. But let's just be thankful for what's going on right now. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves.
Fair, very fair, very fair.
And just one last point, might go on a tangent. Do you think it might be a little too soon for Roman to return?
I mean, I'm at a point now where I would say I'm ready for Roman to return when Roman is ready to return. Storyline wise, I think it's sooner the better. But because I mean, and especially like we said, SummerSlam is like just that's the next tier below. I guess this is Royal Rumble, just the next tier below your WrestleMania. So, I mean, he won't have a grand stage to come back at for a while if he doesn't come back now. So
Mm.
I would like him to come back, and I think it's been long enough. I mean, it's literally only been, what is it, April, May, June, July. It's been almost 4 months, but there's so much WWE content. It's felt like 2 years since we've seen Roman Reigns on TV.
Yeah. True. All right.
But no, I think it's been enough. And hell, like if like with Seth, we're talking about the workload and everything and the injuries. Roman has fought 6 matches in the last 2 years or something. I'm not worried about him.
No. No. And I'm quite excited as one, he'll be a face, and actually
Yeah,
a well.
because people will just be excited to see him, no matter
Yeah.
what he does. He'll, which is basically what the tribal chief character was. As like we talked about, guys operating in the gray areas. That's what he became. People were acknowledging him, even though he was booked as a heel, but he was getting face reactions.
And yeah, and now he's probably just going full face, which is what they always want to do with Roman. So that's going to be cool. And
Yeah.
plus, I actually really came around on him since WrestleMania, so I'm excited to actually watch him because I also never really watched him other than like those first years of the Shield, because that's when I stopped watching. So that'll be interesting. Now, since Money in the Bank, we had a huge announcement from my GOAT, John Cena.
Now, let me just relay to the audience here my experience of hearing this news. So we're sitting there at Mikey's abode, and we're watching. I believe the first match had just finished up, and I get a text from my friend that he got engaged, and I was like, "Oh, wow!" And I went outside to FaceTime him and said congratulations and talked to him for a little bit, and then I come back inside, and Mikey's sitting there on the couch, slack jawed, with a tear rolling down his cheek, and I went, "Mikey, what's wrong?" And he goes, "John Cena just announced his retirement," and I was left speechless. Well, of all the things to walk back into, a historical wrestling moment was the one I walked back into. And Mikey, you got the merch, I believe, for this final season.
John Cena was wearing that new shirt, loud and proud. And I'm like, I was because Luke was also there with us. For those who watch Gravy Talk,
Shout out, Luke.
And I'm like, I bet you this is gonna be on the WWE shop the minute he gets off. And I'm refreshing the page, and it comes up. I was probably like the first one to order this thing. But yeah, it's on the way. It says it's not coming till like August, but I'm excited.
Jeez.
Yeah.
You ordered it like 2 weeks ago, too.
I know. Hey, take your time, Cena. Take your time.
Yeah, he's not back until when did he say he's like technically going to be? So he's going to like. So yeah, which is strange how this is, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is a little strange, but I like it, and I'll explain why.
Go.
Now, everyone wants to talk about number 17. Is he going to break the record? How is his last booking going to go? I think it will be his last Mania. I think somehow, some way, they've been teasing this Orton turn on Cody, just slightly, and the people are catching on. Somehow, some way, Randy's gonna have that belt by the time WrestleMania comes.
I like it.
Randy turns obviously heel for this. Cena and him, reopen some problems, and he wins 17 at WrestleMania. Now, everyone always says you gotta go out on your back when you're retiring, and this is why the January to December thing works perfectly, because he can win at 17, or maybe not at some other, or SummerSlam, whatever, because maybe Mania is a little too early for him to win it.
That's fair, because it'd only be 4 months in.
Yeah.
However, if it is Randy, which I love the idea that you just set out, how they would book that, but because it's Randy, there's so much built up history. I think he can get it back up and going in 2-3 months, and if they're at every Raw, or like 3 months, or is he going to SmackDown? No, he's going to Raw, right?
Yeah, I think Cena's going to SmackDown or Raw, because he kept mentioning Raw and Netflix.
Regardless, the way that works though, it has to be Randy. He has to fight
Randy over to Raw. Draft got to bring.
He has to fight Randy again. And yeah, for him to happen at Mania, again, have another historical moment at Mania, he gets number 17, most titles of all time. And yeah, so then he can win at Mania and then go out on his back in December.
Now, I mean, this is just nitpicking right here, but since we just revealed or came to the revelation that it will be Raw and for the World Heavyweight Championship, if that's even still the case, they always like to switch if belts are exclusive or not, or whatever the case may be. I think John Cena is, he's the face that runs the place. Just a little nitpicky here. I think he's got to win the WWE Championship.
I agree.
I think the World Heavyweight belt looks a little weird on him, especially this new design.
Yeah, if it was the old one, which he did hold at one point,
yeah, it did look a little
WWE.
Weird on him, I will say.
Yes, I agree. Because when I think of that, was the old World Heavyweight, which is one of the most gorgeous belts in wrestling. I can picture, Randy holding it, or a Punk holding it, Taker holding it. Yeah,
Big Show.
Yeah, even Show. But yeah, the WWE title is the one I think Cena should win. And yeah, I like the conversation of should he break the record. I mean, I think it's quite obvious. I don't think anybody has any objections that he should.
I know, the business always revolved around on giving back to the business. Cena has been giving back since he's been a part-timer. He's been giving back. Hell, he lost to Austin Theory in front of Make-A-Wish kids, all right?
He lost to Solo.
He lost to Solo. He's been giving back enough. It's time for him to really just get what he deserves as just the man who really built this place up since, whatever, wherever you would see a little bit of a decline since, like, Stone Cold and all them. And he kept them prevalent. He is, other than The Rock, the most recognizable wrestler of all time. So you got to give him his flowers. Yeah. Like I said, the fact that it goes to December, that gives him the chance to go out on his back but still win number 17. Yeah,
and I feel like it should be Randy or Punk should retire him. I would prefer Randy, but I would also prefer for that match for him to win 17 off of Randy as well, just because, especially at that point, if Randy does turn again, would be operating in a gray area because at this point in his career, Randy Orton can't turn full heel. But we'd be looking at Randy Orton, who has operated as arguably the best heel in the history of the business, and Cena, who has operated as the best face in the history of the business, going at it one more time. And I mean, how many reigns does Orton have?
14.
14? Okay. Because I think we had also discussed the possibility of it would be cool if they did like they each get to 16 and then they have like a tiebreaker match to see like, somebody will get 17 at this match or something if it's like vacated or something. Orton's but 14, that's a little too messy and we don't have enough time for that.
Yeah, since Orton's 14, you kind of like blur some stuff. But as to who retires him, people always mention, putting over new talent, and I'm sure John Cena is fully down for that. Who would you pick if it was new talent?
Jeez.
People say Braun Breaker.
No.
I don't know about that.
Could we see? I mean, by December we could see Trick Williams potentially, in WWE, I believe, who's been getting so much hype in NXT.
I think I'd rather Braun.
Again, I don't know enough about NXT to judge. All I know is I like Sol Ruka.
Yes.
As far as any of the men down there in NXT, I don't really know. The Soul Snatcher was the greatest finisher. No joke. That's one of the best finishers I've ever seen.
It's beautiful. It totally is.
Yeah, we need her up on the main roster ASAP.
Yeah. Anyway, should he put over Sol Ruka?
Dude, I wouldn't mind.
Anyway, obviously.
Do you have a young talent you wanted to see him put over? Because I mean, it's so tough. Because I mean, it's John Cena. I mean, it's tough for us to talk about Sami Zayn. Who could Sami Zayn put over? Now we're talking about Cena, and for his last match, too, who's worthy of it and who makes sense for him to put over. It's a small Venn diagram there.
I can see Gunther being a cool option.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like that.
The problem is, other than like these new guys like Ilya and Braun. There's not really like new talent that needs to be put over on the main roster. Everyone's kind of in a really good spot. but if you want to actually pick like new faces,
Yeah.
probably Braun is the top guy for me. I don't mind him right now, and I think if he has a title reign in a year time, I think he'll be a valuable choice.
Braun Strowman, you're talking about, of course, correct?
Yes, yes, the man with the most appearances. Just do not put fucking Uncle Howdy on fucking John, please. Just do not.
No, they did it. They had him feud with the Wyatts at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways they can go, and I mean, the roster we've talked about it at Mania. It's stacked, and there's so many different ways they can go with it. Now we're talking about Punk is now cleared, Seth is cleared, Roman will be coming back soon, and now you add arguably the greatest wrestler of all time will be joining you for 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it will be strange though that Cena's last match will just be on Raw, just be on
I don't
some
think it's
Raw
that
in December.
strange. I think it's actually really kind of cool because, hey, Raw is what built this entire company. And
Yeah, it's just for a guy of that level, you think
I
about the
guess.
big send off at Mania, but there will be a way for him to have a big send off at Raw still. The
Who
ratings
knows?
will be
Maybe they'll
through the
throw
roof.
in like some pay per view and I don't. Nothing comes to mind for December pay per views, but
Yeah, I don't know what's then. I mean, unless they whatever's in January, they punch it back to a New Year's Eve thing, which would be cool.
yeah.
Um, they have his
Now
last match on pay per view on New Year's Eve, but I don't know.
let's talk
I don't know.
about possible rehashings of feuds other than Randy. Um,
Yes, which we have a feeling will happen and should happen at
hope
the very
so.
least.
CM Punk, obviously another name that's been thrown around a lot. I
Yeah,
personally don't see it happening.
the
It could
yeah,
actually be cool. If
it could.
Punk and Drew are done, and in this new year Cena comes and they feud, that would be really fun. It gives both of those guys something to do. I
Yeah,
know people say you can't talk about CM Punk without talking about John Cena, but you can talk about John Cena without talking about CM Punk.
very true.
Um, he's really not at the top of my priorities.
Yes, I agree. And the way Punk is presented in this current era, I can't see him coming back like starting shit again, like the old Punk would with Cena. Just not like his character's all that different. Like he's still like that annoying a-hole, like the way he's handling things with Drew. But just the way his character is now, he's not gonna like go crazy heel again and turn on Cena and all this stuff. So
Yeah.
I mean, I bet they'll have a moment. It'd be cool if they did like a tag match together or something,
Yeah.
or some, there's some capacity where it would be great to see them wrestle against each other or with each other at some point. But I agree that that's one, like if we're talking about 1 year, they're gonna cross paths at some point. It's gonna be great, but I don't need a full on feud. I don't need them to fight at SummerSlam or anything like that. Or unless it's towards the end, they have to take the belt off of Cena as for his like retirement match, and Punk takes it off him. Like, okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I'll
But
totally be
yeah,
fine with Punk taking the belt.
yeah, but I don't need 3 months of Punk Cena again.
Anyone else come? I know there's Seth. There's Roman, but I
Yeah,
think that's
Seth
least
again doesn't
likely.
make sense to me. Roman, there's a way, maybe again, like, hey, what if same way, uh, Cena has to drop the belt, Roman gets the belt back in that way. Again, I think Roman should be with someone with a little more history with Roman that he takes the belt to get the belt back if he ever gets the belt back. But again, like Roman Cena, like again, like there's very few guys who are worthy of those spots for because Cena knows I have X many matches left.
Mm-hmm.
Roman's worthy of one of those spots right there, when not a lot of guys are. But I mean, like that would be cool. I mean, he's not gonna fight friggin' Solo again. He's not gonna fight Austin Theory again.
No.
Um,
I guess
I'm trying to
time
think.
will tell
I
who's at
mean,
the top of the business
honestly,
by then.
like, yeah, I mean, like, honestly, like, he could put on a great match with Gunther or Priest. I
Priest
mean,
was another one that just came up to my mind. In my mind, that could be pretty
yeah,
cool.
there's a way to make that work, and it'll be easy to start uh beefs with him. Just just them coming in and being like, obviously, just you're too old, you're washed, you've like, you've just show up out of nowhere trying to take all these top spots. You're a part timer, just all the stuff that I mean, was used
It's already
when
been
Rock came
said.
back, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it shouldn't be too it shouldn't be too difficult for anybody to like go at him and like not like become like some crazy heel beyond recovery.
Yeah.
Anyone else come to mind for you? Should he fight Miz one more time? I don't think he should, but like, like I think of Miz and Cena just as much as I think of Cena and Punk. Honestly,
yeah, I do too. Miz is still a prevalent topic of discussion when I think of Cena. I I don't think it'll be a feud. I think it'll just be an all Cena truth moment.
Yeah, which
maybe have an R-Truth fight. I think they feuded like very briefly back then when R-Truth was a heel.
I mean, I don't mind if they like, even if it just lasts like at the very start, like Elimination Chamber to Royal Rumble, the first 2 months of the year. Give Cena and Truth the tag belts. Give Cena and Miz the tag belts. Have a little fun with it. Have him do some crazy shit. Have him hold every belt in one calendar year. Just
that would be cool.
Something stupid.
I know John said, he goes, this Royal Rumble will be my last, this Elimination Chamber will be my last. Do you think this means that, Royal Rumble is the most iconic match ever? Do you think this means he's going to be a ballot in the Royal Rumble, or he's going to be like just another like match on the card?
I think he'll be in the Rumble.
Me too. Me too.
It would be disappointing if he's like, oh, he's back for his last Royal Rumble, and he's actually just fighting somebody in it.
I don't think he wins the Rumble, but
no, because I don't think whoever champion at the time will allow for it to happen.
It could be really cool or fun.
Unless if Randy, I mean, I know, like we said at Mania, like let's say Randy has the belt, Cena's gonna win it at Mania, like
a lot
have Cena win the Rumble.
Yeah,
and I mean, when is the Rumble again? I mean, February or something. January, February. Yeah. So I mean, we're already looking at roughly 6 months out.
Yeah.
5-6 months out right now. So I mean, so much is going to change. I mean, look at the landscape of things 5 months ago. I mean, we were seeing Roman Reigns every week. Gunther was everywhere, and then I mean, we've seen Gunther twice the last 4 months. But I mean, so much is going to change. So much can change. But I mean, I wouldn't mind to see him win the Rumble. If he loses it though, he should come in at like number 9, stay in until like the last 3. Like have him work it. Like give the people a treat.
Have him won. Be number 1.
Ooh, that would be cold.
Yeah.
But do you think will he be able to handle things when Jack Gallagher enters the match?
Who?
Who's the pale gentleman and that Royal Rumble we watched
with the umbrella?
Yes, with the umbrella.
I think that'll end his career.
Yeah, it just might.
Yeah. I got no more thoughts. I think I covered everything. Anything you got on your chest?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the Cena stuff is very exciting because I mean, we look at the SummerSlam slate and it's fantastic. It's a fantastic card. I mean, it's going to be what day is it again? This
August 3rd.
So August 3rd. Okay.
Not this Saturday, but the next.
Okay, yeah, I'll be able to watch it.
Yeah. Oh.
So yeah, it'll be fantastic. I mean, just the space the company is operating in right now is great. Where even if things, I mean, we saw it at Money in the Bank too. Even some matches weren't great, but they're pushing storylines forward that we're interested in. Like that's how they hook you. That's when they're at their best. So, I mean, it's just a great time to be a wrestling fan. And I mean, I said the same thing at after Mania. And it's also a great thing that we can look at this and say, I mean, like we said with the Cody and Solo match, like we're not excited for this match at all. It's just the writing of the storyline because
I just want to see Roman.
Yeah, and I mean, there's lots of guys who can put on great matches. Like the in-ring talent is like you're obviously not indifferent towards it. You need guys to be great in the ring, like we said. So I don't think Solo was that great in the ring, but at this point, it's like, it's the storyline and the personalities at play and what they're going to say on the mic the day after. Like that's equally as important a lot of times as what they do in the ring. So as long as it's not a disaster in the ring, which it never is anymore. But it's also a great sign that the match I'm most excited about is a women's match too, between Liv and Rhea. That the amount of time and stock that they put into that is
I'm really
it's
excited
great
about that.
it's going to be fantastic, and also just the fits too that that Rhea has had at the pay per views are great, and the SummerSlam fit I can't wait to see.
Yeah, I also find the Liv Rhea match so interesting because it wasn't just a storyline that took place within the women's division. It
Yeah,
mixed genders, and kind of used that to boost itself, which was really cool because it's really just a lot more at stake than just two wrestlers beefing.
Yeah,
There's love on the
yeah,
line.
there is love on the line, and this match has seen the involvement of the Judgment Day, of Rey Mysterio, of I forget the other female wrestler's name that was involved with that. I forget her name.
Selena Vega.
Selena Vega. But yeah, I mean how intertwined it's been in everything is great, and like you said, it has everything to do with the possible crumbling of the Judgment Day, like the stakes and how well everything is put together it's testament to how well creative is done. So good on him. Good on him. That's what I say.
Good on him. All right.
All right. Well, Mikey, I think it's time we hop aboard a round trip ticket on the Strowman Express.
We'll see you people on the other side. We'll probably do a retrospective SummerSlam, we hope.
Yes, we will. Let's
SummerSlam.
hope so. And let's wish each and every one of you happy viewers a highly